reduce red tape. We've removed 21,000 regulations that companies across all of those areas I mentioned were requiring to carry out. We felt that we were, in some areas, we've had to prune because of unnecessary regulation. So that we've saved something like already $2.3 billion a year in the compliance cost of companies with regard to national regulation. We've increased the pace of approvals for big projects. In fact, we've halved the time in the last 12 months from around 350 days to well under 200 days in the approval time for the big multi-billion-dollar projects. We've got record investment planned in infrastructure. In fact, over the next 6 years, $125 billion of road and tunnel and freight rail and other projects, ports and things are planned over the next 6 years, $125 billion pipeline of projects, and it will be particularly appropriate to so many of the major investment companies and the funds that are here in the UAE and other parts of the Gulf states. So we think, very much open for business. We are determined to back our strengths, the things we do as well as any, but better than most. Among those strengths are the service industries, the services that cluster, all the services, and the high-end manufacturing that clusters around resources and energy, all of the services and high-end manufacturing that cluster around agriculture and agribusiness, that cluster around international education, that cluster around healthcare and aged care, that cluster around hospitality and tourism. They're some of the great strengths of our country, but all of the services that cluster, the financial services, the engineering services, the aged care services, the educational services, and all of the skills that cluster around those great strengths. And that's what we've got represented here this morning. That's what is in many ways growing enormously within the UAE in particular. We've got 65 Australian companies and education providers visiting the region for this Australian Middle East North Africa program this week. There are events being held in the UAE, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar and in Morocco this week. It is an annual event. It's a very practical initiative to build commercial links and to capitalise on opportunities. Because in the end, life is about trust. If we're going to build on the relationship and the success we've had with so much trade and investment between our two countries here in the UAE and Australia, it is about building trust. If you get trust, business becomes a lot easier and a lot more successful. And these sorts of linkages that come out of this week, the discussions, the sharing of our offerings in expertise and innovation, they're very important to the future of this region. As I said at the outset, we've got a very complementary set of strengths between our two countries, and I certainly